Well, I got to say that there have been few mistakes on the field for this football team through 4 weeks. And you certainly didn't make a mistake when you said USF's going to hang around for a little bit and then it's going to be off to the races. 50 on the board.
Yeah, another 50 burger. Team was clicking, man. Program record through 4 games, 209 points. So for 5-time national championship program, 6, but whatever. Scored the most points ever through 4 games in the history of this program. You know what I mean? Like and not really even playing our best football. Like, and I'm not saying that. Sometimes you say things like exaggeration for comedic effect. Like I've done that my entire life. Like, oh my God, like I'm literally dying. No, you're literally not. That's you know what I mean? But there's been so many things that have been growth areas that everybody can see, and the players and coaches are saying, even as we're stomping people out, 8 first half penalties last week. What? Jacoby George had a 40-yard play. If he holds onto the ball, all of a sudden he and it goes to the USF defender, right? And then credit to them, they said, look, if we have a chance, if we think the opportunity presents itself, we're going with every single trick play that we have. They scored a touchdown on the Philly special. Really great job on Byron Brown as he was leaking out, stopping. Because if he would have just kind of run that route, first of all, the timing would not have been there, and they'd been like, "Oh, hey!" But no, he pitches it to the running back going to the offense's left, and he just takes a beat and watches them like it's a normal play, and then you see it come back, and then he after that one little beat of rest going up the field, then right after that, trying an offensive or an onside kick, guy was 8 yards off sides. But I mean, hey, if you're going to try it, why not try it there? You know what I mean? But you give USF a short field, they score. You turn it over, you give all these penalties and things. Like, it took all of that and stopping them for field goal after field goal. P.S. Grammatica Jr. hit one from like 84 yards. Like those 2 kicks it was like what, 55 and 52? Easy, like would have been good from 63, 65. I mean, and then they bring in another kicker, for the shorter field goals, but then he misses the extra point after the trick play touchdown. But it took all of that for it to be 15-14 USF. Like, I would say for the first 25 minutes, even with walking down the field both times and getting touchdowns, absent the Jacoby George mess up that technically counts as an interception because the ball was thrown and never hit the ground and he never had control of it. People were trying to lobby that they wanted that as a fumble for Jacoby George and not an interception on Cam Ward's record. Sure, whatever, but I see why it was classified as an interception. But it took all of that for them to be within striking distance. And then, like, hey, boom. And it's a credit to the preparation. This is what I've been saying. They play, USF that is, plays their cover too, and they try to disguise it as long as possible. But if you do that, you're keeping the safety inside, and he doesn't have a chance to get all the way out there. Right? And Cam knew it. And then said, and he threw that cover 2 hole shot, and I tweeted it out. My breath stopped because I've tried to throw cover 2 hole shots like that on College Football 25, and I've thrown 85 million interceptions on that same throw because that cornerback, I call them super jumping linebackers. And if you play the game, you know what I'm talking about, right? Where they just have these superhuman physical abilities against you. You know what I mean? Not when you're on the sticks, but the AI, the computer on the sticks. What, man? And so he threw that ball, and I've seen that interception so many times in the video game. And they're like, no, they're trying to disguise it. That cornerback stopped his feet for 1 step. 76 yards from the sideline, gone. That's the margin of error. And Cam stared it down because he's like, oh yeah, yeah. And if you're talking about NFL throws, by the way, from the right hash to the left sideline in the cover two hole ripped it on a line. Woo, buddy. And then, all right, cool, we out of there. So it was a testament to just perseverance and preparation for the Miami Hurricanes. Ended up with a 5-touchdown victory. Shout out to Jordan Lyle, a program record 91-yard from scrimmage run for a touchdown, which eclipsed Duke Johnson and somebody from 1955 who both had scored from 90 yards out previously. So I mean, as soon as in Mario, like there was paint peeling in the locker room from what we heard after the game. It was very much no more bullshit. Stop the penalties. Like, y'all are doing all this other stuff. Do what we need to do. Let the standard be the standard, and I guarantee you it'll be what it's going to be. We saw the cinematic highlights. Jason Taylor, defensive line coach, said, hey, third quarter shutout. What's up? Lance Guidry, the defensive coordinator, going viral in the world of coaching because he was asked about halftime adjustments. And he actually pushes back on the idea of adjustments and is just saying, basically, it comes down to your preparation and your experience. And he really spoke highly of his time coaching high school football because, as you and I know, in high school, you run what you're able to run. So if that's wing T, if that's power I, if that's spread, if that's pro style, and every week you're going to see something else because, like, if you're at a small school and you got 40 kids on the team, wing T. What was it from Remember the Titans? Veer option, 6 plays, give it Novocaine, give it time, and it's going to work, right? When I worked at Miramar and Geno Smith was there, buddy, 4 wide with we're calling up we're going trips here, we're going double stacks here, we're doing these other kind of things, we're checking to a rail, we're checking to this, you're doing all kinds of different things, and you might have to face those week one and then week 2, those disparate kind of things, and having those experiences, you rely on those kind of things. It's really interesting. It was a great question at the press conference, and his answer was really, really great. And he was like, yeah, look, you got to stop the issues that you see first. And if you do that, then the team will most likely go back to first of all, you need to stop what you see on film. But they're probably going to have something different, and you got to react to that. So the job of the defense coordinator is stop the issues that you see right now in front of your face because they're going to keep coming back to it out of halftime. And if you do that, then they'll go back to what you've seen on film and other stuff. I'm not doing the answer justice, but it was a really great sentiment and mentality, and just kind of, okay, this is where this comes from, and like his worldview of playing defense at this kind of a level. But yeah, come out, boom, third quarter shutout. When you bring in the rotation guys, some of the depth, the second teamers on both sides of the ball, they kept the standard, even to the point, like I said, Jordan Lyle, a program record 91-yard touchdown late in that game. And yeah, you had a USF defensive back trying to play hero ball because Jordan Lyle did look inside, and that corner with outside contain said, oh, I'm going to meet him in that gap inside. I'm going to make a play. Where did he go, George? Where did he go? Up the sideline and ran away from the angle from a couple of defenders. So, yeah, I mean, it took a little bit while to get going. But again, when the standard is the standard and you meet that standard, I don't think that there's many teams in America that can play with us.
7 or 8?
Max. Yeah. I mean, again, if Miami handles their business, if they play to the standard, if you play the way that you should be playing, honestly, I know that people are going to see this as blasphemy and everything. This team is closer to an Alabama team than it is to a middle-of-the-road ACC team. Josh Pate said this is a high-level SEC team in the ACC, right? This is just a high-level team. It really is. And when Alabama plays to Alabama standard or Georgia plays to Georgia standard, there's only a handful of teams that can play to that level. I believe Miami to be in that caliber of program or team for this year. Absolutely. I think it's only a handful of teams that can play on Miami's level, honestly. But now it's incumbent to do the work and continue to play to that standard and clean up the errors and issues that present themselves. The running game only averaged 3.1 yards per carry, absent that 91-yarder. I know that down close in the red zone, it was cool. We're just going to lean on him. Cam Ward famously, and he's done this in every game. I didn't catch it, but pointing and saying, we're running the ball right here in this gap at you, and you can't stop it, and did, right? For multiple times. Damian Martinez, 3 touchdowns, but only actually, I leave the stats up for this very reason. 3 touchdowns, 11 carries for 31 yards, and 3 touchdowns for Damian Martinez. That's not a lot of open, between the 20s production in the run game. That needs to get better. Cam Ward, 24 for 34 for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, and missed multiple throws. He had Chris Johnson Jr. open for a touchdown. If you run a 5 wide on NCAA or college football 25, there's a play that I love. I think it's Jesus, I forget the name of the play. I just know. But the widers or the running back goes wide to the right. You walk a linebacker out with him and he runs a go. There's no reason that shouldn't have been a touchdown because you walked out number 37 or whatever it is on Chris Johnson Jr., the fastest guy on our team. But you missed that one, right? You missed another couple of throws. And even with the production that we saw, Cam Ward can be better. The run game can be better. The discipline can be better. You had even Kiko Mawanoa with the 15-yard roughing or unnecessary roughness penalty for a late hit on Byron Brown on the sideline. And you're a captain for a reason. I'm not going to sit here and say you need to have your scholarship pulled or da-da-da. But you've played so many snaps and you've played to an all-conference level in 2 different conferences. I know that you know better than that. But on that one play, that didn't manifest itself. Those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. And, I do think that there is room for growth with this team. But, yeah, I think there's only a handful of teams that at their best can compete with this Miami Hurricanes team this year. But we just need to continue to develop and continue to play to that standard. That is what is required of Miami to make that continue to be true week after week after week.
So there's a couple teams / programs that I trust because I've seen it over and over and over and over and over versus Texas. Let's take Texas, for example. They broke through last year. They go to the playoff. They beat some teams. They hung with some teams. Of course, they beat Alabama. And then they came within a throw of the end zone to go to the national championship game. But because it had not been proven there in a long time, and with those players, I needed to see it against somebody.
Yeah.
Teams like Georgia, Alabama, we see it this year with Ohio State. They got to be the last team on the planet that hasn't played anybody worth a damn. They've not played anybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's played somebody at this point. If you want to put Florida and USF in that category, shoot, those are world beaters compared to Ohio State's schedule to date. But they will, of course. But I trust because it's what's happened every year. I trust them. Like if this was pick your team that's jumping out and doing something extraordinary early in the season, but we haven't seen it year after year to know that the talent's there and this is just what they do. With Miami, I would love to see it against, but of course, those kind of regular season matchups are extremely rare. Georgia, Clemson, but Clemson wasn't ready for that game. It's not Clemson of old. They're just very rare in terms of a non-conference kind of game. And because the ACC is the ACC, you don't have the Ohio State, Oregon, USC, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia. You don't have those games within the conference that we're going to be blessed to see here in the next few weeks in those 2 conferences. Miami could be the outlier of being the one team outside of those 2 conferences that can play like those 4 or 5 teams.
Yeah, I mean, and I get it that we have not seen this, not even consistently, but at all from Miami. So I understand the hesitance when I say, no, this is a team of that caliber, but they're playing to that level, even with things that can improve. But it's incumbent upon them to continue to do so. But, again, that's what good teams do. That's what teams who are chasing championships do. They go and beat a team down like that, And again, I know that it took Alabama to the 4th quarter. We were playing second string in the 4th quarter. already. Cam Ward hung it up. So like it is incumbent upon Miami to do that. But this is the kind of season that is in front of us potentially. This is the kind of team that we have presently. Like, there is not a part of the team that is a major concern that would like keep you from a playoff or a potential championship. Like, everybody is playing, they're developing before our eyes. You're still starting a true freshman, OJ Frederic, at cornerback. He's been one of the highest rated true freshmen in America, across the board. Throughout this, early part of the season. Michelle Powell, again, from Washington, played in that championship game last year. He knows the path. He walked it last year. Now, no, they did not win, but like, name another player on this roster who played in a national championship game last year. You can't do it, right? Cam Ward, I said all offseason that he was top 5, if not top 3, if not top 1 returning quarterback in college and playing to that level. Like, this is what you needed to do, and going all in on this season, it was necessary because it's there. And look, is this one of the easier schedules for a potential playoff team? Yeah, it is. But you know what? It was for Georgia last year also, and we saw what happened. So it is potentially there for Miami, but they have to continue to bring it. And I understand people's skepticism for me saying that, because I get it. Once bitten, twice shy, or 20 years of, doing less with more as a program than pretty much anybody. I get it. But this team, it looks different because, again, scoring more points than we've ever scored through 4 games. It feels different, especially just from a focus to the process and the standard of performance and growth. And every game, Cam Ward afterwards, hey, yeah, I'm like, look, you did da-da-da. It was video game numbers. It's pinball numbers that you guys are putting up, yards and touchdowns. Da-da-da. He's like, yeah, but this throw, that throw, this throw, and that throw, I missed. That's the kind of mentality we have to have.
Here we go. Leroy, appreciate you being here. The super sticker. Thanks for the support. We appreciate you. Falconer, TRX.
There we go.
So Falconer not technically first tonight. However, Falconer was at the Florida State show and threw up a couple there. So he gets the pregame honors there.
Got it. Hey man, appreciate you gotta be quicker than that, man. Leroy got you this week.
Falconer. Cam was an amazing ambassador on the SOS podcast. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Sons of Saturday. So that's a Virginia Tech podcast. Got connected to them through a good friend, Mike McDaniel from Sports Illustrated and the ACC, basketball conference podcast. So one of his Virginia Tech brethren, 2 of them run that podcast and invited me on Monday night. And just went in there and, did my thing, talked about, the Hurricanes and the, last game and looking forward and everything. Didn't really get to ask them any questions to get any insight. But I mean, they're a Virginia Tech show, so they talk Virginia Tech all the time. Did learn 2 things in that show. Number one, Cam Ward and Kyron Drones are apparently cousins, the quarterbacks of each team. Did not know that. Asked about it on Tuesday after practice. Cam Ward gave the succinct answer, no, to the question on if he had spoken to his cousin this week about the game. And then Tyler Barron is the younger brother of Woody Barron, who apparently played up there, linebacker, defensive line, something like that. Did not know that either. But so you have another couple of connections on that. But shout out to those guys, man. They do a really great job. It was a really fun show to be on. Really, blessed and excited to have been on there. So you guys go check that out. It's up on YouTube and everything. Looks the exact same. I need to move this darn box that keeps breaking the algorithm for my screen blur. But you can see that on there. I'm wearing this exact same thing and everything. But Falcon, I appreciate you watching that and everything. Yeah, and go support those guys.
I made an obvious too late attempt to grab Mike McDaniel for the show tonight to talk some Hokies, but have not heard back from him. So that's obviously a failed attempt on my part, but wanted to get some Virginia Tech talk here. Falconer coming back with this one. Miami owned a Raymond James just like the Swamp.
Pretty much. And it would have been even more had, we played to the standard of excellence that we desire for, in those first 20, 25 minutes, all the way through consistently that we did for the final 35. But yeah, emptied that stadium out. And look, I get it. That was what they thought was their biggest moment and everything. I guess they're going to send those Beat Miami shirts to whatever third world country because, like, please. But hey, it was a great night for them. I understand why they were super hyped. You could feel the energy and you could feel the team, feeding off of that and everything. And so that, even though it did not yield a positive result, and I love hearing from Alex Galesh after this week because, when I watch the videos of the pressers every week, then you get more of that coach's stuff in the algorithm. So I saw his Monday presser afterwards. He's like, man, I'm not looking for moral victories, and we're not talking about moral victories. And to get a program to where you want it to be, you have to have that mentality. So shout out to him and everything. I don't think that he's going to be at USF long. I really don't. I think that he's on a path to develop them in a couple of years and then cash in elsewhere, which, hey, good for him. But yeah, I think that he's, I like his mentality. I like his focus and everything and understanding. Like, yeah, we went all out. You saw it going on fourth down, trick play here, onside kick there, like, and then, okay, look, it got a little away from us. We're going to punt the ball. We're going to play defense. We're not going to, because if they would have continued going for fourth downs, it would have been 70 burger or more, So he said, hey, look, we went for it when it was there. After that, we're just going to play normal football and see what it is. But yeah, that was an interesting thing. But hey, shout out to them. I'm sure that it was a great atmosphere and experience for everybody who was up there. Had a couple friends who went to that game and everything. But yeah, in the end, Miami's just too talented for that team this year.
Hopefully nobody was asking him about a moral victory. It's not like they lost by a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, no, they were asking because, especially like, hey, you guys were up 15-14 and you were very competitive with the top 10 team and that's what the question was and the viewpoint and everything. And yeah, they were asking for moral victories. And I mean, again, if you look at it in the micro, you can say, look, for 47 minutes against Alabama and 25 minutes against Miami, we're toe-to-toe against two of the top 10 teams in the country. And like they gave him that softball and he said, no, get all the way out of here with that. Like, this is a true outcomes kind of situation. Did you win or did you didn't? And if you didn't, don't talk to me about it.
Our guy here, Leroy the Black Ninja Turtle, has an interesting hypothetical. Hey guys, long time. I got to ask, would you trade running backs Mark Fletcher and Jordan Lyle for wide receivers Jeremiah Smith and Brandon Inniss from Ohio State?
They can keep Brandon Inniss. I'll go 2 for 1 just to get Jay Foe. Like, to be perfectly honest. And again, Brandon Inniss, 5-star recruit from there. That's not even part of you. Keep that other one. I don't know if it's pointed in the exact spot, but this is where it looks like on my screen. Hey, man, look. Yeah, I mean, but like also no, because I mean, like, and so both of those guys were committed to Ohio State before ending up at Miami, being Fletcher and Lyle. I mean, yeah, because just Jeremiah Smith by himself is different. Like,
sure.
He's just like, I mean, he's the best wide receiver recruit from down here that we've seen in 25 years. Like, he's a generational player. Like, and I know it to my bones. If Cam Ward would have just transferred to Miami instead of taking that 3-week, I'm going to the NFL shenanigan detour, that was right at early signing day, Jeremiah Smith would be a Hurricane, and oh boy. But hey, that's a different multiverse situation. I would see, if we're actually doing like a college football trade machine, I would see if I would go to Ohio State and whatever their roster need is, try to deal from a position of strength from Miami, for example. So I know that they have Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson and at running back. So that might not be it. It might be
offensive line.
Okay, so let me give.
That's about all that team needs.
Right. Samson Okunlola and an offensive line recruit to be named or two for, you know, well, and maybe even throw in a wide receiver, right? So let's go, and this is completely hypothetical, so I'm not trying to get any of these guys off the team. Don't you dare clip this and say that I said this. But, no, not you. I'm saying the people watching, because I know that that's how it goes. But, yeah, I would say like an Okunlola, Nye Carr, and a recruit to be named later for Jeremiah Smith. Something along those lines. And if they want to throw in Ennis or somebody else, then I'll take that for sure. But like I would look at a 2-for-1 or even 3-for-1 to get JFO personally. Me, but again, I'm very biased because like I'm very biased I was very bullish, on Jeremiah Smith, as is reasonable when you see it.
You have to be careful trading special talent for just bodies. But is Okunlola the best offensive lineman? Is he your best offensive lineman?
He was a 5-star in last year's class. He's still rotating second team, first team a little bit, but you're not getting Francis Mawanoa from me. No, like that's a firm non-starter. Like those were the 2 5-star tackles in that class. So no, you're not that. He's off the board.
We're talking about teams that are playing for championships. Like they're gunning for championships, not
right.
We
so
need
are
some
we
help down the road.
So are we right now, but you're not getting my starting right tackle All-American. That's a firm and final. So, if I could understand it by this point right here that Mark just brought up. He's like, whoa, hey, wait. A 5-star who's kind of rotational, but maybe another year away, plus a guy for a right now. We need 61. Thanks so much. I wish you well, because the answer is no. Period. Like, which is why, like I would look at a package of players, plural. And then hey, I mean, look, maybe we give, because Ryan Rodriguez is a starter on the offensive line. Now he's probably a little bit, he's injured right now, but he was a rotational starter with Matthew McCoy. Me, myself, personally, I like Matthew McCoy in short term and long term better. So if you want to say, we'll give you Okunlola, who's a 5-star tackle prospect from, the Maryland or Massachusetts, excuse me. So I'll give you a 5-star redshirt freshman. I give you our starting left guard and a player to be named. Like, I think that those kind of things hypothetically would be something. But then again, just as I'm so fiercely on, don't ask about 61. Do not ask about Mawanoa. The answer is no. I'm sure that Ohio State has that same stance about Jeremiah Smith. The answer is no.
So I'm going to send this in another direction to another team, because Leroy, we appreciate the hypothetical, but that just doesn't make sense for Ohio State. They got 2 All-American running backs, like, right. And even the third guy is, they don't need.
Right, which is why I switched it and said, hey, let's actually look at their roster and like maybe, something that would be enticing to them.
Ryan Williams, Bama, same type of. So let's say, without going to, they got Justice Haynes at running back. They've got great running backs too. But let's just say it's the same thing. You obviously have to consider the structure of your running back room. If you give up those 2 guys, then you've got one back.
Well, I mean, honestly, we got 5 who can start and play in the ACC. We really do. You have Martinez, you have Fletcher, you have Allen, you have Lyle, and you have Chris Johnson. So, I mean, there is plenty of depth on this year's team. But you take 2 away and then you're at 3. If somebody gets injured, you're at 2 and then a walk-on. So, but again, I think that if I'm Alabama, the answer for the 17-year-old Ryan Williams is a firm and final absolutely not. But it would really be, okay, what does your roster need? What do we have? And then, maybe making a deal there. Hey, Elijah Alston's playing really, really well at defensive end. Do you need an edge as we get Ruben Bain back? Now Ruben Bain is not the guy, but and I know Elijah Alston's playing really well, but if I have Tyler Barron still and I have other guys behind them and everything, maybe be willing to part with somebody from the middle top of the roster at a position, it would be something like that. But I do understand where Leroy came from, especially with the connection of all of those players to South Florida and both Ohio State and Miami, asking that. But yeah, I would look, really, it becomes more, what do I think that other team can use that we have and would be willing to part with in order to get the player or players of the target.
Falconer coming back with this one. Miami can play, is equal Bama and close to Georgia.
Again, I think that, this is one of the handful best teams in the country, and we haven't even played our best game. And I really look forward to seeing that sometime. Oh, that was that door. Sorry. Sometime in the near future. Because there have been plenty of areas to develop and improve. And the goal is to do that.